Good afternoon, freshmen. We are looking at ALEKS linear functions. This is worksheet number 4. Some of you may have seen that I skipped worksheet number 3. There were some technical difficulties in opening it. If you have since gotten it open, wonderful. I will do a video for that one later, probably tomorrow. But today, let's look at linear functions. Excuse me. So as we're looking at number 1 here, we are looking at an equation that is given to us in y equals mx plus b, where m, remember, is slope, and that is how your line moves. B is the y-intercept, intercept meaning where it crosses the y-axis. Now, if you are not in math brain, notice your x and your y right there. Those are your x and y axes. So if you look here, where do we start? We start on the y-intercept, or the y-axis, excuse me, at 4. So we're going to start at 4 and put a dot right there. Then my slope is negative. Remember, that means one of two things. It either means you move down 1 and right 2, or it means you move up 1 and back 2. Either way, you're going to move from that 4. So I'm going to go down 1, right 2, put a dot, down 1, right 2, down 1, right 2, up 1, back 2, up 1, back 2, up 1, back 2. And then you're going to come in here and draw a nice, neat line, hopefully straighter than Mrs. Hurst. I'm still learning how to use this little technology pen. So it should look like that for number 1. Then let's go ahead and jump to page 2. It tells us, let's try that again. It tells us that we are looking at graphing a line that says x equals -6. So if you look at that, there is no y equals mx plus b, because there's no y and there's no b. All we have is x equals -6. So if I go to the x-axis and I go to -6, I'm here. But it doesn't matter what y is. X is always -6. Doesn't matter if y is positive or if y is negative, x is always going to be -6. So if you look at my dots there, you can see that you are going to get a vertical line. That one is not finished, but please clean it up. Okay, question 3 says find the x and y intercept. Click on none if applicable. That is not applicable, so don't do that. Instead, you want to look, where does it cross the x and y axis? And remember that those are an ordered pair. The x-intercept is the number where it crosses the x-axis when y is 0. The y-intercept is the number where it crosses the y-axis when x is 0. Moving on to page 3, it says graph the function. So again, we have our m and our b. So start at 1, and then you are going to move down 1, right 2, or up 1, left 2. I'm not going to graph that one for you. Okay, question 5 says determine whether it is linear. Remember that a linear equation must look like y equals mx plus b. X and y have to be to the first power. You can have no square roots, and you cannot have variables, no variables in the denominator of a fraction. Additionally, you cannot multiply variables. Sorry, I'm still learning how to use my Apple Pen. So obviously I'm not very good at writing on my iPad. But we are looking for, do we have x and y to the first power? Are we without radicals? We have no variables in the bottom of a fraction and no multiplying variables, so it doesn't look like this. So that is a no. Doesn't look like a no, but that's a no. So when you're looking here, I see we've got something here we need to address, something here we need to address. These are not variables, so those fractions are okay. While I have x's here and y's here and y's here, we know how to rearrange an equation. So that one looks like it should be okay. And again, I'm not going to give you all the answers. I'm just trying to give you some guidance here. Okay, word problems. Y'all do not like word problems, so let's spend some extra time on that one. Okay, so it says each day Mary earns a fixed wage plus extra money every hour of overtime she works. The graph shows her total pay in dollars versus the amount of overtime in hours that she works. So what is Mary's total pay with 0 hours of overtime? So you're just going to come right here. What did she get paid without overtime? Just put that amount on the line right there. It says, choose the statement that best describes how the amount of overtime and total pay are related. So 1 hour of overtime, there's how much she makes. 2 hours of overtime, there's how much she makes. That is a big, big jump between 1 hour, 1 hour is here, 2 hours is here. So if I look, I went up 1, 2, 3 spots over 1 hour. I went up 1, 2, 3 spots over 1 hour. So my movement or my slope is consistent. So when we're looking at this is as overtime increases, does our pay get smaller or does our pay get larger? So you need to decide which one. Does my total pay decrease or does it increase? And what is that rate? How many dollars? Notice I said it went up 3. It went up 3 spaces on the graph. It did not go up $3. We went from 100 to 125, 150, 175. At 2 hours, we went from 175, 200, 225, 250. So what is that common difference? All right, moving on to the next page. Question 7 says, fill in the blank below. Find the slope. Okay, you have a formula that you have to follow and you have to plug in correctly. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2, and your slope formula is always y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Do not mix up your x and y. Do not do x minus y. That will not get you there. So no judgment. No one is going to see this except for me or Mrs. Brodigam. Label those points so that you put the right ones in the right spot into this equation. That's how you do that one. Okay, for each ordered pair, determine whether it is a solution. 2x plus 5y equals 7. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can take and plug in each one of these points. So for example, if I did that, I would say 2 times negative 4 plus 5 times 3 equals 7. So negative 8 plus 15 equals 7. 7 equals 7. That one checks. So that one is a yes. And you can do that with the remaining 3 points and get your answers. You can use a calculator. You can also put this into Desmos. Put this into Desmos, and then see, do these points fall on that line? If Desmos is not something you're comfortable with, I strongly encourage that you type this equation in and just change what's in parentheses. It's very important that you plug in your values from the ordered pairs into parentheses so that the negatives do not result in incorrect answers for you. Question 9 says, find the slope of the line. You are going to use that same formula right there. x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into the formula. All right, moving on to the next page. It says, determine the slope. This is probably the easiest question on here. You're going to count how many boxes did I go down? How many boxes did I go to the right? And you're going to put your down over your right. Because remember, slope is the change of y over the change of x. So how much did your line go down over how many units did you go to the right. And then if you need to, you are going to reduce. You may not need to, but in case you do, make sure that that is reduced. It is okay if it is a top-heavy fraction. I know that some of you do not love that. Number 11, y equals 2x. So y equals mx plus b. I don't have a plus b, so that number has to be 0. 2, I know some of you are like, Mrs. Hurst, 2 is not a fraction. So what are we going to do about it? We are going to take that fraction, that 2, and we're going to turn it into a fraction by putting 2 over 1. And remember, slope is your up and down movement over your left and right. 2 is positive. I'm going to go up. 1 is positive. I'm going to go right. So from here, I'm going to go up 2, right 1. Or I could do a double negative. Down 2, back 1. You need to continue that line. It needs more than 3 points. Draw your line in. Next page, it says, find the x and y intercepts. Again, where does it cross the x and y axis? They are ordered pairs. So what do you get? You get x equals some number when y is 0, and you get y equals some number when x is 0. Okay, 13, y equals mx plus b. That's my b. 2, which we have already said is 2 over 1, is your slope. So you're going to start all the way down here at -7. You can take it from there. Okay, word problem. It says, Anne makes house calls. For each, she is paid a base amount and makes additional money for each hour she works. The graph below shows her pay in dollars versus the number of hours worked. How much does her pay increase for each hour worked? So if we could come here and compare hour 1 to hour 2 to hour 3 and so on, what is that change? How much money, what's that dollar amount between each one? I'm going to make you figure that out. Remember that slope is your up and down, which in this case is a dollar amount, over your left and right, which is your number of hours. So once you've answered letter A, you actually have your answer to letter B. You're just going to put it in a fraction form. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Last one, graph the function. Y'all just graphed the same equation. All she did was try to trick you by giving it a function notation name instead of y. So y equals 2x minus 7. Go back to the last page. We literally just graphed that question, my goodness. And that should get you done with this one. Again, extra videos will be coming soon.